Did Mitch Marner check out of this year's playoffs with Toronto? Some believe he did, as blame could be pointed at the newest Golden Knights superstar. It's just another Marner Monday ahead on Lockdown Golden Knights.
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone, from Las Vegas. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe to our Lockdown Golden Knights YouTube channel. I am a longtime sportscaster, host of Believe in Vegas, the new podcast, and a marketing consultant. And Chris, the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports and collectibles editor of the Hockey News. Coming up ahead on today's show, of course, we'll talk more about Mitch Marner on this Marner Monday edition. And the Raiders win that big softball game.
Huge.
With a lot of controversy around it and folks tweeting out stuff. And the importance of hiring George McPhee. We're brought to you today by FanDuel. FanDuel, go to FanDuel.com. It is America's #1 sportsbook. Yes, it is Marner Monday. And fans and insiders in Toronto could once again be pointing fingers and blame at Mitch Marner after his departure from the Maple Leafs to Las Vegas. And Austin Matthews called out too many passengers as one of the reasons why perhaps the Maple Leafs fell in the playoffs, especially that loss there in the series to the Panthers. The Cam and Strick show, that podcast said that Marner, he may have mentally checked out of the playoffs early because he knew he'd be coming to Las Vegas. And last year, he was a scapegoat. We know all that about Marner. This year, he didn't give it his all during the playoffs. Andy Strickland said that Marner had been busily planning to move to Las Vegas for some time. And at the end, you get the feeling again that this was the blame game on Marner. And if I were Marner, great move. Get out of Dodge there. Get out of Toronto.
Well, if Marner's planning on leaving Toronto, whose fault is that? It's the Toronto Maple Leafs, #1. Just like Jack Eichel, the clock is ticking. The clock was ticking for a long time to find a way to extend Mitch Marner, and the Maple Leafs failed to do that. Whether Marner was distracted by the possibility of going to Vegas or Carolina or LA or any of the teams that were on his radar, sure, it is a distraction. It's definitely a distraction. Shea Theodore had a bunch of questions about his contract coming in the last season. We go back to Jonathan Marchessault. It's certainly distracting, and you can't help but to plan for the future. I mean, it's not just, okay, I guess Leafs didn't sign me. It's time to go find a job on July 1st. You know, you're thinking about this stuff sooner, and there were visits, obviously, in the offseason as far as Mitch Marner coming to Vegas and looking around and things like that. I've heard maybe there was some other family visits during the regular season as well that were a little hush-hush. But point being is that it's the Leafs' fault that he's not there anymore. If they could have figured out a way to hold on to him and keep their core together, these distractions wouldn't be there. So did Marner check out during the playoffs? I think that's a little bit of an off the wall type of statement. I don't think an NHL player is going to stop trying to win a Stanley Cup. I mean, they were up in that series against the Florida Panthers. They took them to 7 games. Were there some passengers in Toronto? Sure. Was Mitch Marner one of them? Maybe at parts. I mean, that's just what a 7-game playoff series is all about. No one's going to be perfect every shift.
Yeah, and that is a bad reputation to get, right? That you checked out, that you were a passenger.
Check out, passenger. It's bad.
Yeah. It doesn't sound good. And remember, this is the same organization, had to go Canadian on you, that said that it needed to change its DNA. And so the change in the DNA. What's that?
They got Nicholas Waugh, so DNA changed.
The DNA changed. And after they said that, you knew that Marner was well on his way. He was leaving, and there were no negotiations during the course of the season. And hey, man, if there were family visits, that's tampering, bro. It's tampering.
Happens with every player, happens in every situation, and you know what? It's part of the game. I mean, it is what it is. Um, the passenger statement certainly is on my radar still, and I get Austin Matthews saying that, but you also saw Mitch Marner in that seventh game having I don't want to say a meltdown, but he was certainly yelling at his teammates, trying to get a little something going right
He
there.
was. He was.
I don't think Mitch Marner stopped caring. I don't think someone who's an NHL athlete who at that point of the season is 9 games away from winning a Stanley Cup just says, I'm thinking about Vegas right now. That's where my mind is. I'm not trying as hard to win a Stanley Cup for one of the most prestigious NHL cities in existence. I don't think that's at all how it goes. Again, were the wheels coming off in Toronto? Sure, but that happens every season in Toronto. That's been happening since 1967, the last time they won a Stanley Cup right there. So again, it's just an example of the hate for Mitch Marner that's coming out of Toronto. Like they loved him until the contract was up and everyone wanted him to stay. And now he's a traitor. He's a passenger. He's chasing the bag.
Scapegoat. It was a scapegoat, though,
And
a season ago. Remember, like a year ago, we talked about that. And for them bowing out, they put so much pressure on just one player. But what about the other core three? How come they have no accountability?
Austin Matthews is the superstar there. Let's be clear. Not that Mitch Marner is not a superstar, but Austin Matthews is the man as far as that team is concerned. And then it goes from there. So again, we in Vegas have a different perspective about this, and that's why we're very welcoming, I think, of Mitch Marner, even despite the passenger comments.
And we dedicate our stinking Mondays to this guy for crying out
we're
loud.
dedicating part of our paycheck to him too because of that. But the point being is
that's tampering, bro.
it is tampering. Point being is, though, you saw what happened with Eichel in Buffalo. Different scenario, but not necessarily a different scenario. Questions about character, questions about how hard he's trying, questions about the locker room, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, Mitch Marner, there's a ton of questions. Just ask any Toronto Maple Leafs fan. They're going to remind you that he disappears in games 5 through 7 in the playoffs. They're going to remind you that he's soft. They're going to tell you all these bad things about him. Well, I think everyone's going to see something different from Mitch Marner starting around the 1st of October, 10th of October, whenever the NHL regular season kicks off.
I hate to go there,
Oh,
but could the same thing be said about Jack Eichel doesn't show up, passenger, against the Edmonton Oilers? Passenger. I mean, seriously, if you're starting to be so petty, you could definitely start to point things out there against VGK. And if the Golden Knights bow out of the playoffs early, are the fans now going to attack the lowest hanging fruit in Mitch Marner and say, hey, he's the scapegoat. He's the reason why we didn't win the cup?
I think if Jack Eichel doesn't have a contract and this happens, I think Jack Eichel is the one that winds up getting attacked.
As we know, he doesn't right now.
Maybe the end game. Maybe we'll clip this for future use on July 14th at 6 in the morning here. Maybe the end game is Jack Eichel's going to get signed by the Leafs next offseason. The Leafs, their revenge is going to be, getting Jack to do some under the table visits up to Toronto right now, and
VGK counters by signing McDavid. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there's not a lot of players I'd give up Jack Eichel for. McDavid is one of the few, and I'd be okay with that.
Honestly, is Marner the only target by this Toronto Maple Leaf organization? I just think that is and the fans and the scribes, of course, the media's just been relentless up there. But why is he the only target? He's the most visible target, I guess.
Because he left, Tony, because he's had a contract. It's been a contract season. It's contract year because he left the prestigious original 6 Toronto Maple Leafs for this new hockey team down southwest. And, that's Gary Bettman's baby that, Gary Bettman does everything for, that got spoon-fed a Stanley Cup, so it's easy to put the hate on Mitch Marner for that. And it's a scapegoat. Like you said, it's the scapegoat. It's the therapy, if you will, for Maple Leafs fans having something else to blame, when the fact is they've been a very mediocre franchise since the Disco era.
The Dasco era. Coming up next, the Raiders win the battle for Vegas. Oh boy, that was such anticipation around that game and the importance of hiring George McPhee. We return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. You just realized that your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just go to Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on all the other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs. Put your post at the top of the page, and it'll help you to reach the right candidates faster. And of course, definitely, I've used it from both sides. I've posted jobs, and I've also, during the pandemic, I've also looked for jobs on Indeed, and it's been in that spot. I've been there before where you need the right hire, like yesterday. Pressure's on, and every day without the right person is a setback. That's exactly when Indeed's sponsored jobs come in handy. They make sure that your post is seen by the right candidates right now. And now you can speed up the hiring process the way I'm speeding up this copy with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockdown right now and support our show, Locked On Golden Knights, by saying that you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hire if you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. Welcome back on this edition of Bullet Points. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas on this Marner Monday, our regularly scheduled promotion here each and every Monday. And we're going to continue to come up with content for the next 8 years on Mondays. Don't forget, please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. So, Chris, give us some of your highlights from the big, huge Battle for Vegas softball game this past Saturday night. The Raiders won, and they beat the Silver Knights. Not the Silver Knights. The Silver and Black won over VGK. And tell us, Brock Bowers, I guess, was the star of the night.
It was a lot of fun, no doubt about that. I think it starts off seeing Reggie Jackson there throwing out the first pitch and a nice tribute to what he accomplished as a major leaguer. And that was just phenomenal, seeing an absolute icon of the sport. And that certainly got everything started off on the right foot, so to speak. And then it starts off with the home run derby, and the home run derby was to determine which team would have the last bat in the softball game. They basically play until about 9:25, and then 9:30 is when the fireworks go out. So the game can be anywhere from 5 to 6 innings, depending on how fast it goes. But they utilize the 10-run rule, Tony. So if someone gets 10 runs in an inning, then they're done as far as scoring for the inning, and they go on to the next inning. But a lot of fun. You had the Brock Bowers, it felt scripted, right? The Raiders were down by 2 in the bottom of the 5th in the last bat. Better way to say that.
Are you saying it was rigged?
It felt like that, and even PA announcer Bruce Cusick made a comment that it felt like it was, I forgot what his terminology was, but Bruce was just on the ball all night as far as on the call and everything. He was great, just firing one-liners and stuff. But Brock Bowers comes up bottom of the 5th, down 2. Bases loaded, hits a grand slam, and wins the game in a walk-off for the Raiders.
The fans, I know, were definitely into that game for some reason. What were the ovations?
Game's fun. It's fun, Tony. I'm not gonna.
I get it, but what were the ovations like Logan Thompson and Ryan Reeves like? The Baby Shark when they played that. DJ Joe Green, right on point as usual. Baby Shark is playing and Reeves hits the home run, but now he's a member of the Sharks. Curious about that ovation.
Well, number one, Logan Thompson, I think it was much better than last year. Logan actually had a few boos last year. When he walked into the arena last year, like from the street, and
petty,
some people weren't too happy with him. I heard, unfortunately, it's stupid, but whatever. But this year, the crowd actually went bonkers for Logan. That was very nice to see. And of course, Ryan Reeves. I mean, how can you not appreciate Ryan Reeves, especially when he's not wearing your team's hockey jersey? You appreciate him better like that. But you appreciate the fact that he loves Vegas. He comes back to support this event every single season. Although I don't know if he tweeted anything about it, so it makes him not as good, I guess.
Makes him a villain if he didn't
Makes
tweet
him a
about
villain.
it.
But no, listen, you have to love Ryan Reeves. And again, Baby Shark playing every time he comes to the plate. Just, I mean, you can't script that any better.
No, that's
so much fun. And he leans right into it. He has fun with it and everything. And it'll be weird seeing him wearing teal next year. And you wonder how he'll be with the Golden Knights. But, he'll be back next year for the softball game, having fun and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that Barracuda jersey is going to look awfully nice on him.
I do wonder if that's how long it takes for that to happen, honestly.
Oh, jeez. He'll be so bitter. He'll quit. He'll probably quit. He's not going on bus rides, he said. The fans of VGK, let's
Northern California, there's not a lot of bus rides to take. That's a lot of far bus rides to get to the other teams, besides Coachella, maybe.
Okay, fans of VGK upset with the Raiders once again for not promoting this event.
Their alarm clock was on. It's an alarm clock that's set every year.
My goodness, can we set the record straight once and for all? I don't understand the ire that's drawn for a charity softball game promoted by the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights Foundation, folks, puts this game on. And typically for the Raiders, this is like just something they do on the side. It's not officially sanctioned. So the players just sign up, they go out there, and they take.
It's not sanctioned as far as this is not a Raiders event, to be clear what you're saying.
Correct. It's not a Raiders sanctioned event. And so they're giving up their time. They are, it's fun event, but they still want to go out there, represent. I thought it was huge that Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, showed up. Oh, that was great.
And Mark Davis is not just stuck up sitting there in a box, not talking to anybody. He was on the field, right by the Raiders dugout. Fans were calling him over. He goes right over and he signs a couple things, but he just sits there and talks to him. He just sits there and talks and has fun. He's interacting with the players, sitting there talking. And say what you want about the Raiders as an organization. Say whatever you want. But Mark Davis, I like what he does. I like the fact that he is very, very approachable, if you will. I've met him in a couple of Golden Knight games. Me and Chris were up in the club cooling off a little bit, and he walks right behind us, just talking to random people and stuff, hanging out and everything. So the Raiders did their part. They showed up. That's their job. And the fact that they're there is going to help sell a few tickets, although there was more empty seats this year, I think, than previous seasons. I'm not saying there's no fault to blame or anything like that, but the Raiders showed up. Good on the Raiders for continuing to support this Vegas Golden Knights charity initiative.
And no Mitch Marner, correct?
No Marner. There was two things I was wondering. One was Mitch Marner, and two was were they going to sneak an Eichel announcement during this? And unfortunately, neither happened.
I was waiting
an Eichel extension announcement. Sorry,
I was waiting for that video of an Eichel cartwheel.
No cartwheels. Chris, I remember asked him last year when we had media access last year about that, and Eichel responded to Chris by saying he didn't really have a celebration planned. So he asked Chris for a celebration idea, and then Chris said cartwheel, and Jack's eyes just kind of lit up. That was pretty funny.
That was very funny. There were complaints as well about, you said that Mark Davis was approachable, but how? Through the safety netting?
He was with the crowd. Oh, yeah, the safety netting.
I read a lot of complaints about the safety netting, and fans bring out a ton of things to get autographed, and that's not a given that you're going to get something signed by a player anyway. It's madness where everyone is in a
safety, guys. Listen, I get there used to not to be any safety netting at an NHL game. I remember getting my hand almost busted by a warm-up puck in an AHL game back in the year 2002 or something like that. Like, things change, but at the end of the day, there was a few ropes that were hit right down the left field line. That netting isn't there, that 12-inch softball, for lack of better terms, is going to take your friggin' head off. That thing is hard. It hurts. And this is, I believe, a requirement for Major League Baseball, minor league baseball, anything that's sanctioned with MLB and everything. And it's safety first. And listen, you can't get your precious items signed. I'm sorry, you have to find another way to do it, or go autograph hound like everybody else does. But you know what? So what? It is what it is. People need to be safe.
So do you
think an autograph event? It's a charity softball game.
Yeah, but do you think that there should be other ways that fans could interact with the players? Because that's what really made this game.
There's events all season. People hound them at their cars at City National before and after
Well, they
practice,
could
and
have been waiting out near the parking lot, right, when they
there's
came
an
out.
area right outside right field where the players come in and out. They will sign everything until the last person does the last thing is signed.
An awfully hot night and some empty seats, and this used to be a real hot ticket, but 109 there, whatever it was on Saturday, doesn't help the cause. Coming up next,
No.
the importance of hiring George McPhee. His anniversary came up this past weekend. We'll get to that right here as we return on Locked On Golden Knights. Summer sports are in full swing. You could take a look at baseball under the lights, golf on the green. The NBA Summer League is in full swing, or you could check out some high stakes soccer action. FanDuel, the best way to make every game even more exciting. And if you're already following the action, why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned there at Encore Beach Club. I'm sorry about that, Encore, but it is hot out. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app just keeps it fresh. And the new daily promotions, that's the fun and easy way to bet. And you could, of course, place the same game parlays, and it takes you there. And it's a lot of fun. It definitely does add action to the game. FanDuel makes it feel like you are part of that action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today. Visit FanDuel.com/lockdown to get started. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We are officially, Chris, in the dog days of summer and the summer schedule, allegedly. What is that all about?
Oh yeah, we can do 3 shows a week, I guess, if we want.
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to do that.
I don't think so. We're going
Maybe
to
we'll take a random day off here and there, but we're still 5 days a week as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, let me get to bet those horses a little bit earlier so I can.
Now, maybe August 15th, we'll revisit this conversation, but for now, we're good.
Right, exactly. This past weekend marked the 9-year anniversary of the hiring of George McPhee into the VGK organization as the team's first general manager. What was the importance, in your estimation, in your mind, of the organization hiring George McPhee? What do you think that impact was?
I mean, 9 years later, we're talking about a team that has a couple Western Conference banners, a few Pacific Division banners, and a Stanley Cup banner hanging at T-Mobile Arena as an expansion team. So I think the results kind of speak for themselves. And butterfly effect, you do wonder if it's not George McPhee, if it was someone else hired. Let's say it was Kelly McCrimmon even hired right out of the chute. How different are things? McPhee, of course, the first general manager, but McCrimmon gets a lot of credit for being the architect, if you will, of the expansion draft and the process as far as leveraging contracts and threatening to draft certain players to get other assets and things like that. And you have to credit McPhee for listening to his understudy, if you will, at the time in McCrimmon, who was the assistant GM at the time. And then another thing as far as the significance is after the first couple of seasons, Kelly McCrimmon was the hottest commodity out there. You had Seattle expanding. Edmonton was in the market for a general manager. You had everyone having eyes on McCrimmon, and it seemed like about the 11th hour that someone's going to swoop in and get him. And then McPhee says, wait a minute, I'm going to promote myself. And now Kelly McCrimmon will be the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights. So point being is McPhee knows the business side of the hockey team as far as the on-ice side of it goes. And he did a good job listening to McCrimmon. And that's just an absolute wonderful partnership that we should be very thankful for in Vegas.
Yeah, I feel it's more teamwork, between those two.
Oh, I think so. Who
did not, let's face it, they didn't have a really strong relationship before this. They didn't really know each other before everything here in Vegas started to work. Again, McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon and they do have, let's use that word, chemistry, right, to keep everything flowing. And again, never mind, McPhee, but where would this team be without? It had to be Bill Foley's blessing there, um, to have that right move in place when they promote George McPhee to president of hockey operations, and then they bump up Kelly McCrimmon to the general manager. He was assistant to the GM before that, which do very many teams even have that position? But this was circa what, 2019, right? A couple of years in, and McCrimmon potentially going to take a job in either Edmonton or Seattle. Both were going after him pretty hard. They might have even been tampering, let's say. But McCrimmon, assistant to the GM, both vital moves for the mix, McCrimmon and McPhee.
I guess what I want to know is I'm just Googling a little bit right now, trying to see if there's anything out there. And I wonder who the other general manager candidates were at the time. Was McCrimmon even one of the general manager? Was he interviewed to be a GM, and then McPhee got the job, and then he had the AGM spot? I don't know. I wonder who else. That's what I'm trying to look at here, and I can't find anything, unfortunately.
I know that it seemed like, if McCrimmon didn't go to Seattle or Edmonton, he was just going to be a passenger at that time, I think.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, it's just it is interesting to think about what might have been, and I can't imagine any other general manager would have been more successful in what the Golden Knights pulled off. I think. What is Foley's role in this? I guess is my. I mean, obviously Foley hired him, but I guess my what I'm asking is, what was Foley looking for in this process? Was he looking for just simply the right hockey mind at the right time? Was there a certain pedigree he was after? Was there something? Because I mean, McPhee, let's face it, as a general manager, he did not have a lot of a massive track record of success at the time. He was with Washington for a while, and the Capitals, I think they had one deeper run early on, but it didn't last too long as far as that team being able to have sustainable success. So McPhee must have interviewed pretty well or sold Foley on something, because obviously it worked out. But again, I just wonder what was in Foley's mind. Okay, it's time to hire a general manager for this hockey team. Am I looking for the most aggressive guy out there? Am I looking for the shark at the poker table? Am I looking for someone who's going to, put this thing together quickly? Those are the questions that I would love to find the answers to one day.
I think something that's made this team successful is that consistency of the front office. So you don't have a turnstile where you have,
the only
front
place.
office. Yeah. You don't have them coming and going. Would you say in the current situation now that McPhee is the good cop and McCrimmon the bad cop?
They're both
when
bad
it comes
cops.
to
I think they're both the bad cop, honestly. I mean,
do you really?
I think so. I think when you sign with Vegas, you know what you're getting yourself into, and that's the possibility of being shipped out if it's not working out. But people want to talk about this lack of loyalty and everything. They're handing out 7-8 year deals like nothing right now. So they're trying to build a core that's going to be together until the year 2032, 2033. God, am I even going to be alive in that long? 7-8 years from now, it's going to be some of the same players that are here this very day on July the 14th, 2025. So you have this shift happening in Vegas with loyalty, but it's still very cutthroat as far as making sure the right pieces are in place.
Well, I bring up that question because I went to dinner with an NBA team president.
Was it all red?
And no, it was at the
20% gratuity?
Fountain Blue Dons. An NBA team president who shall remain nameless, and an NBA general manager and Summer League. I was kind of curious. How do you evaluate Summer League basketball? They go, we don't put anything into it, because some guys step up, play real well. Other guys, you expect them to play well. They don't.
They come to Vegas to hang, just like when the boys get together for the drafts in the bars. And that's where the trade negotiations happen.
Yeah, but the GM is the bad cop for sure. The president stays out of it. GM's got to cut guys or tell them they're not made out for the NBA, go to the G League or whatever. But there has to be some give and take here in this organization, is what I was getting at.
I mean, maybe McCrimmon's the good cop now. I mean, you saw McCrimmon
You think
making
he's
the
a good
comments.
cop?
He was mad that he had to call Hurdle and Carlson and
Oh, he was pissed.
Barbashev.
That was the trickle down from Foley. Carlson on the bat phone calls Foley.
No,
Trickle down.
Foley called Carlson. Don't kid yourself.
We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. We'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to our Lockdown Golden Knights YouTube channel. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. He's the good cop. I am the sloppy cop. We'll see you again tomorrow right here on Lockdown Golden Knights, and please take care.